Well, let's get some analysis then on those developments in London. I'm joined now by Craig Prescott. He's an expert in UK law and politics. Good afternoon to you, sir. Thanks for finding the time to talk to us today.
Good afternoon. It's good to join you.
Can I ask you, first of all, given the sort of scathing nature of this report, whether you think Boris Johnson can ever return to frontline politics?
Right now, that looks really unlikely because, of course, what he did was resign as an MP. And so there's nothing quite so as an ex-MP. And so he will have to sort of think of a way back, probably after the next election. Maybe there'll be a Conservative Party leadership contest at that point. He may sort of try and position himself that way, or he may look at joining or getting together a grouping of MPs of a similar mindset to him, perhaps attached to the Reform Party in some way, and have a sort of Conservative Party within a Conservative Party. So who knows what the future holds, but frontline politics, not for the immediate future.
Well, it sounds like he still has his allies, doesn't he? And the Conservative Party, at least from the outside, looks really quite divided today. There are those, as I say, who still support him no matter what, and there are those that are probably quite pleased to see the back of him. You know, you're talking about the idea of a party within a party in the future. Do you think, is it too far to say there's a civil war now within the ruling Conservative Party?
I think this is a real crux moment for the Conservative Party as to what is their future direction. The polls are terrible for them. And, you know, do they look at following Rishi Sunak and trying to move towards a position of perhaps competence and a more traditional form of conservatism? Or do they try and look at waging sort of the culture wars and maybe take inspiration from the Republicans in America and sort of do this more sort of post-truth, sort of Trumpian style populist politics? And I think there is a divide in the party as to the future direction. It may be Johnson goes in the Republican direction and takes some of his followers with him. Just how many followers he has is the big question. We may get an indication on Monday when the House of Commons votes on whether to approve this report or not, to see how many Conservative MPs vote against. But it is a fluid at the moment within the party.
And just a technical question, you know, Boris Johnson has been trying explicitly to undermine the credibility of this committee. He's even called it a kangaroo court. Is there any evidence of that?
No, I think it's entirely to the contrary in many ways. The committee has bent over backwards to allow Johnson to put his view across, to put whatever evidence he wishes before the committee, and to follow a sort of more elaborate process than perhaps they would have done otherwise, to try and take account of Johnson's concerns. And it has to be remembered the majority on this committee were Conservative MPs, 4 out of the 7. So it's hard to see how this is in any way a kangaroo court.
It's another thing that's important to remember here, it seems to me, is that this is a saga that dates all the way back to the COVID lockdowns. Yes, Boris Johnson today has been found to have broken the rules. He lied to Parliament. But this all happened years ago in a period that many people, I think, do want to forget. I wonder how engaged you think the British public still is with this story, or whether you think people kind of want to move on.
I think, you know, now with the cost of living crisis and Ukraine and other issues, you know, politics has moved on. And, you know, in some ways, you know, you could see the government having this vote on Monday, the earliest opportunity they really have to hold this vote. They want to move on and get past this as quickly as possible as well, because the next general election will not be fought over COVID. It's going to be over the cost of living crisis, interest rates, and more bread and butter domestic politics issues like that.
Craig Prescott, thank you very much indeed, sir, for your time on the programme today. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.